Welcome to Bliss Boss Talks. I'm your host, Jaya Rose, a life coach, speaker, doTERRA team leader, and a mama of two free-spirited girls. And you are in the right place if you are ready to live your dreams without sacrificing your needs. I'm going to be talking to other soulful leaders who are walking the talk, and we are touching on all things personal development, spirituality, and what it really takes to be the boss of your bliss. Are you ready? Let's go. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Bliss Boss Talks. I am ridiculously excited and kind of geeking out because our guest today is Ryan Yokome, and something that he does not know, which I will share with him and you right now, is that he is my best friend, but he doesn't know it. If you've ever experienced somebody where you first see their videos or you just experience them even just a little bit and you're like, oh yeah, yep, we're best friends. They don't know me. Although Ryan and I do know each other. Ryan and I got to do 3 months of one-on-one coaching where I was his client, and it was one of the best experiences. So I definitely want to touch on that a little bit, but welcome, Ryan.
Jaya, thank you for having me.
So good. So if you didn't know that I have posters of you up at my house and
Oh my God. I'll have to tell Chris that.
yeah, I'll tell her.
Yeah.
My husband had to get used to it, but you know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, I am on, I love you like just so much as like on a soul level, and just, I'm so grateful for you. I'm grateful to be here. And your podcast is awesome.
Yay. I'm so glad to have you. So I watch a lot of your content, and I have to tell you that I don't consistently watch people's content. You know, they'll come in and out, but you have such a brilliant way of growing in your own life and business that it keeps you interesting and entertaining and educational. And I just want to honor you for that, because I know what that takes. And it is amazing.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And, I'm a big fan of yours too. You know, your content is always super real and authentic. That's why I think we click so well with each other.
I think
but yeah,
so.
you gotta keep shit. Are we allowed to swear on this podcast?
Yeah, it's explicit.
You gotta keep shit real.
You gotta keep it real. Yeah.
It's just you. I mean, that to me, that's what builds connection, is authenticity.
So true. So you know, I bet a lot of people already know who you are, but let's give people a little bit of background. Whatever you really want to share about your background. I know one juicy question I wanted to dive into right away is just, what are you passionate about right now? And if you want to share a little bit about what that means for you specifically now because of something else in the past, like a story, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm a connection junkie. Like I think we're a lot alike in that sense. I love connection to spirit, to the universe, to other people, to spirit animals, to like, to me, if I don't feel connected, I don't feel lit up in life. Yeah. So I had that really young. I mean, I think we're all empathic. I just was really aware of my empathic gifts when I was growing up. So kind of it's a pretty long story, but I was, when I was growing up, I sort of like shut down a lot of my gifts, like my throat chakra, because I feel like I couldn't express myself in the household I grew up in. And then I just like shut down a lot of my spiritual gifts. And through my late teens and early 20s, I rebelled through drugs and alcohol and, kind of fuck everybody. I'm going to go figure out my way that I can feel connected through an external source. And so when you're 18, 19-ish, you're usually trying to figure out who you are in the world and what you're all about. So most people, when it comes to their purpose, is they're basing off their purpose off externals. So we always look at our parents. So for an example, let's say your parents, let's say they were, I don't know, your dad was a doctor. So you're either going to go, I'm going to be a doctor, or you're going to go, fuck no, I'm never going to be a doctor.
Right.
One of the two.
Right.
And so for me, I never wanted to work for someone. Always wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I dropped out of high school in grade 11. I'm like, I'm going to go be an entrepreneur, and then started my own construction business, and then got into network marketing in my mid 20s and had this like big spiritual awakening, and which led me into coaching as of about 4 years ago. So I had a bunch of success in network marketing, and then started my own coaching business. And then this is my core passion. This is what I'm on this planet to do. And now I get to, work with amazing people like you in the past and people all around the world, multiple different countries, and really helping people ultimately get out of their own way to live their greatest purpose and do it where they can actually be divinely compensated for it. So I feel like I'm only 37, but I feel like I've lived a lot of my life already. And I'm excited for the years to come.
Yes. Well, I love that you're talking about knowing that you were empathic when you were young. And I think a lot of my audience can relate to that. I specifically talk to highly sensitive, the spiritual, intuitive, empathic people. And I know that you really speak to that as well. And you embody this ability to own that, and honor it, right? It takes so much honoring of that. But then you have had the knowledge and whatever else you have, which I would love to know what it is, on how you have turned that into such a successful business. Because don't you see a lot of people with gaps in between that? They're like, here's my ability. I shut it down. Now it's my power. But how do I turn that into a business and really invite in financial success around that? And I just feel like that is such your superpower. So in 10 seconds, how would you say? No, I'm just kidding. In all the time you need, but I know it's a lengthy conversation, but what do you feel like is that gap? Like, what is that gap about for people?
Well, there's 3 stages to, I guess you could say, growing a business or living your passion and purpose and making money from it, right?
Yeah.
So we go through these different levels of growth. So the first stage is victimhood. And so that's where I lived most of so when I was in my teens and 20s, for most of my 20s, I was a victim to like everything. Like I thought life was happening to me, and why does this person do this to me? And I would rebel against stuff and get passive aggressive with people. And so I always felt victim to circumstance. Like if I didn't have enough money, I was like, oh my God, woe is me. I don't have, like I just come into a pity party for just me. And so that's the first stage of growth is you have to first realize that you are the creator of your entire life. And when you're in a place of victim, you cannot create what you want because you don't believe you had the power to create it. So once I transition out of that, you go to stage 2, and stage 2 is you're the creator. And in the creator space, you realize, oh my God, I can actually, I can create income and impact with my passion, and I have the ability to do that. Yeah. And so you start awakening more to your purpose and your passions. But there's still at that stage sometimes a block around self-sabotage, fear, comparison, a lot of being self-critical on ourselves, like really hard on ourselves. So once you transcend that stage, and even if you're making money at that stage, you move to the third stage, which is really just consciousness and love. And in that stage, it's not so much about making it happen, but it's an awareness that it's already happened. And that's what shifted for me is I went from, I got to get the money, got to get this, I got to get the client, how do I get it, to, oh my gosh, I already have it. And then once I realized an awareness of, oh, I actually already have it because we're one with everything, then every action I was taking, like you still got to show up, right? But every action that you're taking, you're coming from an energy vibration that you already have the money, you already have the client, so there's nothing to get. And ironically enough, those people end up coming back to you in return to pay you money for your services or passion. So then from that stage, it's no longer what can I get, but it's how can I be of service to, the collective or the whole, and then let consciousness move through every single thing I do. Kind of like the conversation we're having right now. I don't have anything written down. I know you don't either. It's just consciousness moving through the mic, through the computer, from one person to another. That's the flow you get into with your business. That's ultimately sort of this pocket you get in that creates money.
Hey, so sorry to interrupt. I hope you're loving this episode, and make sure to stick around for the rest of it. I just wanted to pop in and let you know that I have a beautiful free resource for you. All you need to do is head over to thejayarose.com and scroll down till you see the invitation to download the Bold Self Playbook. In this playbook, I walk you through the 5 mindset principles that will help you embody your most powerful self and magnetize your dreams. This is a game changer, and you must have these 5 mindset practices and principles in place to really take it to the next level and truly be embodying that version of yourself you're ready to step into. So head on over to thejayarose.com and download it. Can't wait to hear what you think and keep on listening. Yeah, so beautiful. And would you say there was a phase for you where you were in that 2 phase where you've recognized you have purpose and passion and that you are creating your reality, and yet you hadn't really stepped into the it's all one, it's all happening, it's already there, but yet maybe it hadn't really, or I say, like technically in the physical realm, happened yet. So did you step into that consciously before it really happened, or was it simultaneous, or what was that like for you?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's when my heart opened. That's when it really happened. So there's difference between masculine and feminine. So you have consciousness, which is one, like God, you can call it God or the universe, whatever. There's nothing opposite to God. So that's one. And then what happens is consciousness splits and creates polarity. So polarity could be like a masculine and feminine type energy, and that is drawn to want to be one. So what happened with me is I was like, I don't know about you, I had a really big problem with my heart being closed. Like I sucked ass in the heart department. Okay. There was one day I realized, I'm like, I don't think I'm very good at loving. And I wasn't making any money at that time. And I remember thinking like, I'm always trying to arrive. I'm always trying to get somewhere. I'm always trying to complete something. So I went on this journey of studying and being trained in masculine and feminine because I wanted to understand more about why I couldn't love, like why I love some people, but not others. You know what I mean? And
was it a depth of love, or like technically you really were just cold?
It was a depth of love. Yeah. Right? It was a depth of love. And it was really surrounding. I'd built up these walls around my heart to protect myself. So, there's a saying that a hardened heart can't grow, and your heart will never open until the mind feels safe. So my mind never felt safe to open the heart. So if you go back to the masculine and feminine, so if you're a more masculine identified woman or man, I'm not like in you, Jai, I'm not talking about you as a woman gender. I'm just saying the masculine in you or the masculine in me. You're going to base your happiness on the failure or success of your purpose. So you're going to live and die by that. You're going to be super happy if you're successful and you got good things going on, you're making money. And if you're not, you're going to be so hard on yourself. So the masculine, the thing that hurts the masculine heart is not knowing its purpose. And that's really tough. Men or women, I'm not talking about gender again. I'm just talking about that energy. Whereas the feminine, the thing that hurts the feminine heart is a lack of love. So I realized for most of my 20s and 30s, I was like driven, go, ambitious, got to make this happen. But I was doing it with a closed heart. So nothing was working because the way our heart chakra works is it gives and receives love. So I was like giving, but I wasn't receiving anything. So you're going to feel like you're spinning your wheels because you're doing all this stuff, but the money's not coming back in return. And it was literally as soon as I cracked my heart open, I saw abundance come into my life. Wow. And do you have specific processes or practices around this? As I know for me, as I've had these big breakthroughs and there's a way that I was, like I could say, oh, I used to be that way. But of course, it just go away, right? It's like the awareness that we create around it and the light we put on it. That's the shift. It's not that you just actually change everything about you. It's just that you don't practice it anymore, right? So what do you practice instead? I practice forgiveness for sure. And that's a big one. And then, I really do my best to practice compassion for people because when I'm frustrated or annoyed with myself, I fall into judgment. Right. And then I'm like, oh my God, I'm totally judgy. I'm or hungry. If I'm hungry, tired. Forget that. Yeah. Like you really find out how spiritually connected are either when you're hungry or you have to spend time with your family. Like, or both. Here come the holidays. Yeah. Yeah, that's the true test, right?
Yeah.
So compassion was a big thing, but it also comes back down to the daily rituals. So, one of my the teachers I love to follow is Marianne Williamson, and she talks a lot about how, and I truly believe this, like I love to exercise. I work out like 5-6 days a week. So that strengthens your body, but what are you doing to strengthen your mind? And most people don't do anything. So, I mean, I know your listeners do because they're listening to the podcast, but when you're doing your daily spiritual or personal growth rituals, like I'm strengthening my mind around compassion and positive thinking and focus and alignment and vibrational alignment, and how to love myself more and love others more, so I don't fall back into fear, self-sabotage, self-loathing, negative self-talk by default. It's the same thing. I mean, if you don't exercise, you won't necessarily or have the diet you want or have maybe the body that you desire. But if you do the same thing with your mind, you just slide back into fear. So that is a daily ritual for me.
Is connecting to your mindset, your spiritual connection. Is that like, what are the practice? What does that look like for you?
So I wake up at 5 a.m.
Yes.
And that's a tip. So I don't know if have you ever read Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People?
Oh, I haven't.
It's it's a good read. It's like the kind of the basics for someone who wants to become successful. I read it many years ago. But anyways, some of the habits, like one of the habits are you got to do the hard thing first. And as spiritual people, we like avoid the hard thing. We're like, I'm going to do that fucking last or like 4 weeks from now when I feel like it.
You just feel like it in quotes.
Right?
Yeah.
So for me, I had to train, like a ritual for me is doing the hard thing first. So I have an app that I download. It's called Clear. And it's super basic. My wife laughs at me because it's so basic that she says, you could just write this in a journal. But what I do is it's color coded and you can choose different colors. And it goes from like the darkest color is most important to the lightest color is least important. So I literally every single morning, my ritual is I put in there, what's the hardest thing that I need to do that I'm resisting right now? And I need to do that first. And then I'll go through and, put in my different rituals, like, let me back up. So I do those things with action because everyone needs this. So when you're growing a spiritual business or any business, but specifically like our businesses that we have, I mean, it's like, who the fuck teaches us how to do this?
Yeah. Nobody.
Like, right? Like, let's say you're a psychic. It's like, you can't go into Craigslist and be like, anyone running ads for a psychic employee position? Like there's no medium, there's no like healer, there's no necessarily even coach position. Like this is all like wild west that we're creating our own positions.
Yep.
So wild. So if you think of it in that terms, there's no one so when you're first starting this business, you don't know what the fuck you're doing. Like when I first started 4 years ago, I was like, well, let's try this, let's try that. And I have a business coach now, but at the time it was like, okay, let's just give this a shot. So for me, my ritual before I do the tough things is I wake up at 5 a.m. I go into my room here and I just go through gratitude. I have a vision board I look at and I have my intentions and my goals written down that I connect with. And then I walk outside and I do an intention walk outside. This morning I walked by a deer. We live on the top of a mountain. And then I come back home and I do a journaling session for about 20 minutes and then read a page or two in a book, whatever book I'm currently reading. And then I'll go off to the gym and then we come back home and I get cleaned up. I might do a short meditation. And then by about 9 a.m, I'm rocking and rolling with business.
With so much energy too.
Oh yeah. But you're not going to get a hold of me in between 5 a.m. and 9 a.m.
And I won't try.
We could come work out.
Yeah, I'll work out with you, but
you probably kick my ass.
I mean, probably not right now, but maybe, I could have. Yeah. No. Yeah. I've seen your Instagram stories and you are a beast. I actually would love to work out with you.
That would be really fun. We should set that intention.
Totally. So what is the hard thing? You said that you do the hard thing first. Is the hard thing working out?
No, God, that's the easy thing.
Okay. So what is the hard thing?
The hard thing is either the you see, your life, the success of your life and business is based on the amount of hard questions or hard conversations you're willing to have with other people.
Mm.
And so and that doesn't mean conflict. It means that if you're uncomfortable talking about your business and you're not standing strong in it, because what most people do is if you go to their Facebook page, you don't even know they have a business, or Instagram, you don't even know they have a business. Or they're not standing strong in their offers. So that could be a thing you need to get better at, right? I mean, we always know the thing we need to do, but we're not doing.
Yeah.
And we just avoid it with other stuff. So that's always the thing I go into first when I sit down. So, one of the things that I learned when I first started, I used to be all over the place. Like I'd waste a lot of time, and then days and weeks would go by. This is the problem with a lot of spiritual entrepreneurs. Days and weeks and even years go by where nothing changes in their life. They might feel different, like they spiritually grew, but nothing materially is changing in their life. They're not making more money or anything like that. So I set up two things. I set up spiritual growth rituals, and I set up business growth rituals.
I love that.
So those two things give me some kind of rituals to follow that keeps me on track for staying spiritually connected and doing the things that actually make money.
I'm writing that down. Spiritual growth rituals and business growth rituals. And how powerful is that to identify even just a few things inside of that? That creates a massive shift for people, I would imagine.
Yeah, because it gives you clarity. Like these are the things, and then I use the Clear app, and then and then I have my assistant. She schedules everything. So when I first started coaching, I was all over the map. You're trying to figure things out. But now we were just talking about this. I coach Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and then Monday and Friday. Today being a Friday is my creative days. Podcasts, blog posts, emails, anything I want to create that I'm receiving downloads on.
Yeah.
Saturday and Sunday I'm off. You will not get a hold of me, my clients, unless it's like, something really significant has happened on the weekend that they definitely need my help. And then we were just talking in 2019, I'm going to take the last week of every month off completely.
So good. So when you were at the beginning stages of your business and all over the place, you did still create momentum. I mean, you got here, right? You still attracted things. So was there like I can't do it this way anymore. I'm going to go to the next level and I need to change a lot of stuff? Or was it more of like a transition through flow and just shifting?
Second, for sure.
Okay.
Because you grow as a person. So when you're first starting, perfect example. Have you ever completed a website and then 6 months later wanted to totally change it?
I will say yes. Many times.
Yeah, because we're always growing and evolving. So it's a constant evolution. And I know I'll look at what I'm doing now 5 years from now and go, my gosh, I can't believe I did it that way. But at the time, it's like, you look back at your hair in a picture 20 years ago and you're like, what the fuck was I thinking?
Yeah.
So it is a constant, it's a process, but what I had to do is I had to look at, what do I want to talk about to the world that brings me a ton of joy? Like makes me really, really happy. Not what makes the most money. Like a good question to ask is, if you, one of my clients was telling me that someone in the States, they won the Powerball for like 1.6 billion. I heard something like that.
Okay.
So if you won like 1.6 billion, you had more than enough money and you didn't have any fear at all. What would you want to do with your life? And not necessarily what would you want to get, but what would you want to give? What would you want to contribute?
Or even just what would you want to say? Like that is so powerful.
Totally.
I love that.
And so for me, it became not so much like, how do I grow this? I never got in this business to grow a business. I got in this because once you move to that third stage, it's like a fucking lightning bolt. Like consciousness is just like express. And it's saying, go, talk, speak about this thing. And then that's when that trust comes in and you just do it. So that's kind of where I started, was just just getting out of my own fucking way on all these excuses on why I can't do things, or why I'm not good enough, or why I'm not confident enough, or I'm not qualified enough because I dropped out of high school, like all these stories,
Yeah.
and just being like, oh my God, spirit moving through me is so much bigger than these stories. So let's just go
Mm.
fucking do it.
Yeah. I love that shift, the 3 levels. And I did watch your video the other day about the masculine, feminine. I shared it actually, and I had my husband watch it. Yeah. So good. And it really helps to have that framework of like, oh, this is why this is happening because, and I even said to my husband today, I can see how I'm shifting even in a thought I had today. I shifted myself out of making myself feel bad, basically, where I was like, I'm choosing this, but I wasn't totally clear why. And then I saw it and I was like, that's because that's the second level feminine. And I was making it about me. And then I shifted that and I said, this isn't about me. It's not about my feelings. And then all of a sudden I got all these messages, things started flowing. I opened up my own flow, but it was because of that framework. So I would love to just know a little bit more about that. Like, where did you study about the masculine, feminine, and why is it such a freaking powerful conversation?
Yeah. So I was trained in it by my coach, who's a life coach, Ann Sullivan, and she studied it for about 14 years. And so she walked me through over the course of 3 years, like going into it I didn't know what it was before. That's when my heart was closed. I'm like, oh, you just create money and you're happy. Like that's what I thought life was. Mm-hmm. So, and then, there's different teachers out there. There's David Data's a great one, has a lot of great information. But why is it so important? It is like the essence of life. Because whether it's your relationships or your own internal masculine and feminine, it is how life is sort of created. So this is an important distinction with what you just said. There's a lot of women, and I know there's women that can relate to this. See, I should reframe this. When I say feminine, I'm not just referring to a woman.
Right.
So the feminine wants love. So if you're out there, let's say you're building your business and you have a beautiful brand and you're getting lots of likes and attention and people are watching your stuff, the feminine in you is receiving love. Mm-hmm. So she has absolutely no desire to make money. Right?
Yeah.
So she's getting her needs met. Because it's like, wow, people, they see me. Because the feminine wants to be seen. They're seeing me in my light, like beautiful pictures on Instagram or Facebook or a post that got attention. They love me. That's all she wants. Yeah. So it's your masculine that wants to make the money and have freedom and success. So it's actually looking at then if you're getting your needs met where you do feel love from whatever you're putting out there, but you're not making the money, you actually have to do healing work around what's going on with your masculine energy. Because if you look at most masculine women in business, they're crushing it financially. Yeah. Right. So that's sort of the play to answer your question around business specifically.
That's why it's so important. So are you saying that when you understand it and you create probably rituals and practices, at least awareness around it, right? And you master it, then you get to move to a new level and probably have more of what you want. Is that kind of, and be in more service, get what you want and be in service? Is that
so more of what you want depends on if your core essence is masculine or feminine, because 80% of men in the world are masculine and 80% of women are feminine. And then there's another 10% who are balanced. And then there's another 10% where women are masculine and men are feminine. So the needs of the two are completely different. Because I'm a core essence masculine man that we talk about opening her heart has learned to balance the feminine. Yeah. So I'm the 10%. Like how many guys
you're more feminine? I mean, you're more balanced.
Well, how many guys do you know like me? Honestly?
Yeah, no. Like
I'm not saying that
3. No. Yeah, 3.
Right? Because like 97% of the men in the world are stage 1 masculine, which is, we talked about this on the live. They smoke pot, they play video games, they just live for the weekends, they just want to work to just make enough money to get by, they masturbate, they just that's a stage 1 masculine. And so you go through these 3 different stages as a man and as a woman, and you start to have different needs. And so one of the common things I see with women and their partners, their male partners, is that as you women grow, your consciousness grows, your love grows, your heart opens up even more. And you start realizing that you look at your man, and if your man is not developing his masculine essence, which is consciousness, if he's not developing that, you kind of like get pissed off about that. I mean, I coach a lot of women where like, I just want my man to like, do something, like step up in some way. And so that's because you women are scaling up in consciousness so fast that, you're sort of like ahead in a way of evolving over us men.
Yeah.
So the needs become different in the sense where as you grow as a woman, you're gonna want a conscious man.
Yeah.
And us men, as we grow in consciousness, we want a radiant woman in her feminine energy. We don't want a woman that's drained out, exhausted, burnt out. She looks weathered from just like life beating her down.
Yeah. Too much life.
Yeah.
So would you say that where is the focus or is it on both of these things? One, expanding and growing in our own feminine, right? Like going from the first to the second to the third phase of the feminine, going to consciousness in our feminine energy. But also the other side, it sounds like is another part, which is balancing, which is recognizing we have both in us, which sounds like that's what you've done, where you're saying, well, how many men do you know like me? Because I'm balanced, because you've embraced your heart and your feminine energy inside of your masculine. So are those sort of two different angles to the same conversation?
Yeah, totally. Okay. And we'll move. It's not like stage 1, stage 2, stage 3 is better than any of the other one. It's just a different energy. So I'll still drop back into stage 1. Yeah. Where because stage 1,
play a video game or two.
I don't play video games anymore. I used to when I was a teenager, but definitely, I mean, I could move as an example. So stage 1 man, love to them equals, this is just me being real, to a woman, I'm going to grab your ass and tits. And that's a stage 1 man. That's what love it means to them. So there's definitely times where Chris could turn me on and I could grab her ass, and that's love to me, so.
Right.
But as I evolve, you're able to like hold, like I'm able to look her in the eyes and hold that space and breathe with her and be with her and understand the depth of her feminine beauty and connection, and that she's more than a body. Right. That's what I mean.
The both. So that's where the balancing of it comes in, or that you have the components.
Yes.
Yeah, I always joke that my love language is words of affirmation and my husband's is blowjobs.
I've never heard anyone say that.
I think he is developing more in his second level masculine now, but it's taken a lot of time, and it's taken me being totally okay with going to my second and third level feminine in myself and risking leaving him down there in number 1, basically, and just still loving him and meeting him and a lot of good things we have as well. But it works. And so I know you talked about this on that video, and I think this is super valuable for everyone listening.
Yeah.
What do we do, right? The question of how do we continue to grow and go to these more conscious levels and more balanced parts of ourselves and really our power, right? Isn't it all about your power? And yet other people are maybe not doing it. And maybe it's not a male partner. Maybe it's a feminine partner. Maybe it's a parent or a sister or even kids. But do you have any tips around this? And I think you spoke it so clearly and so well that it's like, you got to just do it. Just do it anyway. You have to continue to grow. And that's not going to help anybody to demolish the relationship when you're growing, first of all. And second of all, you're not going to just leave them behind. I mean, that's probably not going to happen. So what do you think is the real deal here with what we are meant to be doing in this time, as it is more the women growing and rising much faster?
Yeah. So I'm always reminded to stay in my own lane, because the truth is I can't change Chris, my wife. Yeah. I can try. I mean, have you ever tried?
I tried. I've tried.
The shit show.
Yeah. Yep.
So all I can do is love her and support her and not fuck with her spiritual journey.
Don't fuck with their spiritual journey. That's it right there.
Yeah. I can just let it ride and support her. and come back to do the work within me. So this is how, when I'm like today, for example, with you, I feel so fucking good. And I'm so excited to be here with you, you know, because your energy is so incredible. So I think it raises us all up. I mean, everyone listening too. So when I feel connected like this, my masculine is in its drive. You know, my feminine, my heart is open. I'm connecting with you in this place. And I know when I'm not in this place, I have to look at, you know, if I feel like my partner or someone in my relationship isn't meeting my needs, I have to look at, well, how am I meeting my own needs? So usually, because the masculine wants, it wants nothing.
Deep
like
sigh.
It wants to like make a bunch of money to do nothing, just
yeah.
Or it wants to get through the day so it can go, oh my God, I get to chill now.
Yeah.
It wants nothing, right? But so I know if I'm stressed and my masculine is overworked, some of you women or men are overworked and you're exhausted, you need to rest. You need to be okay with that. Whereas the feminine in me, she doesn't want alone time like that. Chris, my wife, when she's stressed, so women release oxytocin. And what that causes you to do, it's a de-stressor for you to get around other people and actually talk. And so Chris, when she's feeling stressed, she actually needs to get around other women to de-stress.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. You know this.
Yeah.
So, you know, you don't want a day in the woods alone. That would be like death.
No.
But a masculine man would. So when I am at my limit, I know if I'm burnt out with my masculine, I need some time alone, maybe like a hot bath or chill. But if I feeling like my feminine is disconnected, I need some like juicy connected conversations with people that light me up. And from there, I can come on an interview like this and give it my all and show up at my best.
Yeah. So amazing. And it's such a cool way to understand ourselves on a deeper level, which I feel like is everything. It's all we all do, right? But in our own way, like you really teach people how to honor their spiritual gifts, how to step into their purpose, how to make more money doing that. And it's all a self-exploration, isn't it?
Yeah. All of it.
It is. Yeah. And it's just the different angles. And I really appreciate your angle. And I feel like you have such a cool way of being super, this is just lack of better term, but just like out there. Okay. If you guys have not listened to Ryan's podcast, get obsessed with it like I am. It comes out every Monday. It's the Soul Wealth Podcast. And sometimes he goes on these wild trips and he shares with you about them. And you really do. I mean, you can go far out there with the spiritual world and what it all means, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We get deep into it.
Yes. And simultaneously, you also bring it down to, I wake up at 5 a.m. I do what's hard. I work my body. I work, and so these practical tangibles. And I really appreciate that because I feel like in the whole personal development, spiritual world, it's really easy to go extremely one way or the other.
Yeah. I mean, you can Dorian Virtue it out too and, become super successful, or you can Grant Cardone it out, That's like masculine and feminine, perfect example.
Totally.
Or you can find the middle ground. I mean, that works too.
Yep. Well, I feel like that's why I recognized myself in you. So when I was looking at hiring a coach, somebody recommended Ryan to me and I clicked on him. And this just goes to show the energy that you put behind your content online and your videos and how you show up is so powerful. It is magnetizing and will draw the right people to you or not. And when I saw Ryan's video, I was like, I kind of think we're the same person, but man and woman. And then Ryan messaged me, and I think that's what you said. You were like, we're very similar, but obviously very different at the same time. And so,
well, I think we did a free 30-minute discovery session.
Yes.
And I knew before we even spoke. I knew, but it's always up to the potential client, obviously. No. And we got on the call. I think we were both like, yeah, we know. Let's do it.
Like, yes.
It was just this connection.
Yes.
And yeah, you are like my soul sister. There's this just so magical about you. You're very balanced and I just click with you so well.
So good.
It's interesting how life works and people come into your life.
It is. It's so amazing, especially with the internet and how it's like we get to just stay home. I'm like building an empire from my couch, from my basement. And it really, I think though, it gives us such a cool insight into what it takes though. So like I said, I came to your page and it's not just what you said, right? It's not just what the room looked like that you were in when you were saying it. It was the energy that you brought. And that's the thing. Like, isn't that what we're talking about, is how to create more powerful energy?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's what you're saying is really important for this specific topic, because the question I always have my clients ask themselves when we first start is, why do people want to be in your energy?
So good.
Why do people want to be in your energy? Right. And so, if you look at like Tony Robbins, people go there for the energy.
Yeah.
I never hear people say, I'm going there because of this strategic outline I'm going to learn.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they're going there because of the energy that they're going to experience. And so I always tell people, like, well, what makes you unique that people want to be in your energy? Because if you can find, this is what happened with me, if you can find the value in who you are with your energy, then everything, as far as credentials and skills, it's just an added benefit.
Yeah.
Because in the core, you're solid with who you are and what you represent. And then, like you're saying, people will feel that on your Facebook page, your Instagram pictures, your Insta stories, your YouTube videos. They'll feel the energy. And, I was talking to you the other day about how thin the veil is now. People can just see through bullshit now, and they can feel when someone's authentic and real and their energy is pure.
Yes. It's so powerful. So I honor you in this work and in that. It's so good. Where is the best place to hang out with you online? As I'm sure everybody is going to be clamoring to find you.
Yeah. So RyanYokome.com. You can go to my website and check out a bunch of details there. And then Instagram is good. And Facebook is always great too. I love Insta stories. I don't know what it is with Insta stories.
Good.
They're so fun.
They are so fun. I love them too. They're immediate results too. You're like, and I finished that 15-second video. Done.
No editing.
I love that. So another great thing you can do is, after you listen to this or while you're listening, is to follow Ryan. Are you Ryan Yokome on there?
Yeah, I'm Ryan Yokome on there. And then the Soul Wealth podcast, obviously, like you said, on iTunes. Yes. And then all of you Android users, you can just go to my site, RyanYokome.com. You'll see the episodes on there. And Jaya is on there. So go listen to the episode with Jaya, because we had Jaya on. It was so fun.
So fun and awesome. So is there anything you want to wrap up with? I don't have like a super special question I ask at the end, because I like it to just be organic, but do you feel like you want to drive any points home, or just really leave our listeners with something special from you today?
Yeah, I do. I'm really, really big on the integration of spirituality. So I love I love to learn, like you. I love to learn. Learning is so just exciting. It like brings new awareness to you when you listen to podcasts like this, and that's a part of this process. But how, for everyone listening at home, how can you integrate what you learned today into some form of action step? Because that's where you actually make the money and change your life, is through action. Yeah. And that's where you actually change your beliefs, is through taking action. So maybe you heard one thing I said, or Jaya said, or you felt a sensation or feeling, you're like, or you had an intuitive hit, I really need to do this, whatever that is. Just trust it and take the action. And then you ground the universe into your body, and you become a channel that moves through. So the more you can trust that action, the more you'll receive creative downloads to follow through on.
So good. So share with us what your action is, and we'll tag us in your stories, and we'll throw you in our stories. It'll be so good. We'll hold you a little bit accountable too. All right. See you next time on Bliss Boss Talks. Yay. Thanks so much for listening and being here. And if you loved this episode, please take a moment to rate it on iTunes. I feel so honored when I read your reviews, and I would love to feature you on the podcast as a spotlight review. Also, Find me on Instagram at Jaya Rose, and I would be so excited to share your story into my story. I just love seeing the feedback and that you're listening. So share it out on social media. Share it with somebody who you think it could benefit, because us showing up for other people is what this is all about. It's a ripple effect of change, and we do that by sharing. So thanks for being here, and I'll see you next time on Bliss Boss Talks.